not only does he give Hulk Hogan a hug, he dry humps Hulk Hogan while Hulk Hogan is being bear hugged by the Giant. And then Hogan screams and runs like a little bitch. Somebody go get help. He literally just tried to commit murder and threw a man off a rooftop and then ran away screaming for help.
Remember the video store kids? Remember we used to do that? We used to go to this, place and we used to rent movies, games.
It's a fucking mummy. Call it the Yeti or the Yeti.
Kevin Sullivan is making this so incredibly hard to watch. His existence is making this hard for me to watch.
Well, here's the thing about WCW, sir. They just give title shots to anybody.
Clearly.
Following podcast contains mature content. The views and opinions expressed by the host are not necessarily those of the host. So discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Return to Wrestling, that podcast where we go in the cave and we find the stone wheel and we turn it, and there's a bright light. We travel all the way back in time to when professional wrestling was professional wrestling and not sports entertainment. I am your host, the Warden Matt Ritter, the patron saint of podcasting, and I am here with my co-host. God, it's been a long time. Sir Cussalott, Transporter, aka the Dragon King, aka Big T, aka Sweet T, aka T-Money, aka Black Merlin, aka THNIC. And by the look at his face, I should have said Lord Cussalott. And the Dungeon Master.
Thank you. And hello. What's happening?
What's going on, man? It's been a long time, it feels like, since we've done this.
Oh, it's been a while. It has been a while. It's good to be back, though. I do miss podcasting with you. We gotta, make sure we're doing this more regularly. I keep, things keep coming up and slowing us down. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be caught up on as far as Creation World goes, but I'm working it all out. I think this is the 4th podcast I've done this week. So yeah.
Very nice. Look at you getting back into it.
I also went to a Renaissance fair last week and I got a drinking horn. See my drinking horn?
Very nice. I see that.
Yeah.
How's the drinking going, by the way? Because I know you had to slow down on that.
Yeah. I don't drink nearly as much tequila anymore, and it's honestly kind of sad, but I know it's necessary because it's just like tequila makes me happy, and so does rum. Like, rum actually makes me a bit more happy than tequila, but tequila is more efficient. So it's just,
it's like you're a magician. Every time you move, if the cup's not in front of your shirt, it just disappears.
Oh, I know. Watch this. Watch.
And we're back. Yeah. You go on the Go Big show. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about that other show on TBS and TNT, WCW Nitro. Just Nitro, not Monday Night Nitro. Just Nitro.
It was Monday Nitro.
Monday Nitro.
Yeah, just not Monday there's not an extra night in there. It's just Monday Nitro.
Last we were here, we talked about Hog Wild, where Hulk Hogan did a bunch of despicable shit. He beat up his best friend, the Booty Man, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, who came out with a cake and an NWO shirt. He cost the Giant the championship, became WCW champion, spray painted NWO over the title. Hall and Nash had a tag match. The NWO is in full swing. And now we are in the aftermath of that weird redneck motorcycle fest that they had where nobody liked the black people.
Yeah.
And shit's still like it. The pay-per-view that we're going to cover, Fall Brawl War Games, I enjoyed. It was good for the most part. Everything leading up to it is still shit, though, Travis.
Everything? Really? Let's run through it. You tell me how everything was shit. We'll run through it because
they give us our first Nitro is August 12th. They give us the Hog Wild recap, and basically the whole thing is like, is Nick Patrick an NWO simp? And that is the thread throughout the ensuing weeks. Is what is Nick Patrick's the Nick thread? Thread.
It is what is? It is not the thread. It is a thread.
What is Nick Patrick up to? Yet somehow, for some reason, they keep booking him as a ref in these fucking matches. And we're going to talk about that when we get to Fall Brawl.
Ref unions, man.
First match We had Rough and Ready, who looked like two guys that walked straight out of a gay biker's bar, and High Voltage losing to the Dungeon of Doom, who is still fucking here.
Listen, Matt, you got Rough and Ready teaming with Rage and Chaos. How are you not happy about this? You got Rage and Chaos, Rough and Ready.
Rage and Chaos look nothing like Rough and Ready, and Rough
Rage
and Ready
and Chaos are Rough and Ready, sir.
And Rough and Ready look like two guys who stole Rage and Chaos's outfit and came out,
but only one part of them.
It's Dirty Dick Slater and Mike's penis, right? That's who it is.
Yeah, that's what we're going with. Because yeah. So Mike's penis and Dirty Dick Sucker Slater, whatever.
They look like I said, they look like they left the gay biker bar, which nothing wrong with that. Just
they should have been in Hog Wild.
What the aesthetic was, and then after they lose their match, they attack Raging Chaos from High Voltage. Dude, here's what I think is the problem. There are too many fucking interviews. There's an interview after every damn match. There's an interview backstage in between matches, and I think that's what's really killing me, because we got the Stinging Luger interview. They want to fight the NWO now. The NWO doesn't show up, so we move on. Then we got DDP versus the Renegade, who doesn't even look like Discount Ultimate Warrior anymore. Like, he's out there.
Yeah, they couldn't do that anymore. They had already gotten like a cease and desist, so they couldn't do it anymore. I think this is the first time that we've actually seen him in a match, right? Since we started doing this.
Yes. No,
because we've seen him when
we started doing this.
Okay, I thought we were supposed to there was one we were supposed to see him in a match, but he got his ass whooped before the match. He didn't do the match. Did we actually see him in a match at some point?
We have seen him in a match since we've done this podcast. Yes.
Oh, okay. I don't remember. Okay. Yeah. Well, he's forgettable.
No,
so really
he was part of that weird 8-man tag that had a bunch Joe, whatever.
Joe Gomez.
Yeah, and all that. He was in. It was like this. It was like Baywatch, and they were all in short shorts, and they did this preview for it. Yeah,
I kind of remember that. Yeah, that don't count.
So anyway, DDP beats the Renegade. Then we got the NWO response. They accept the challenge. They're still teasing the 4th and 5th guys who are coming. They joke about the Booty Man who tried to join and got dropped.
How much are they coming? Sorry, go ahead.
They're coming a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not the people I thought they were coming, because I was under the impression that for whatever reason I thought Six Pac was the 4th man.
He was supposed to be. So I didn't know this at the time, of course, but other things I've read or things I've heard from Bishop, basically at this point, Six was supposed to be there. Problem was contract issues. He got his release from WWE, but he didn't they didn't waive his do not compete or something like that, and he couldn't he couldn't appear on television yet, and so they swerved and did the Giant. It's kind of
well, no. The Giant came later.
Well, I know.
First,
well, he was supposed to go. Six was supposed to be number 5, and he they swerved and did the Giant thing because we got to do fucking something because we don't have 6 yet, and this would be a shock. Giant.
Yeah. They did a lot of swerves and shocks. But anyway, we got Conan defeating Jim Powers. This is Conan, the last time we
as actual Conan, not
Well, no, this is the last time we see Conan as the Conan we've seen him.
Oh, right. He still had the trunks on in this one. You're right.
Yes. But he is sick of the people, and he's going to still back WCW, because again, after every match, we have to interview someone and ask them, how do you feel about the NWO? What side are you on? Blah, blah, blah. Everybody. And it's people I don't even give a fuck about. Speaking of people I don't give a fuck about, Chris Benoit defeats Ron Studd. And I believe Ron Studd is Ron Reese and also the Yeti.
Maybe. But I just remember seeing this. I don't know why it made this a note that Chris Benoit was out there with both Woman and Elizabeth. Now that was odd to me why he had both of them. But yeah,
both of them, because they're both technically part of the 4 horsemen, right?
But
now.
Even still,
but they're Rick's girls.
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth is Rick's girl. Woman is still
Woman's trying to fuck Gene. Still, every interview trying to.
Oh, it is still my favorite part of every Horseman interview. By the way, we're not going to see Gene again until November.
That's sad.
Yeah, because at this point, contract dispute happened, and he didn't come back until November.
Then we got a Harlem Heat match versus the Steiners. It's a rematch from Hog Wild, and Harlem Heat's pissed because Colonel Parker got them DQ'd. This whole thing with Colonel Robert Parker and Harlem Heat makes me very uncomfortable. It feels
I told you he was supposed to be their original manager, right?
Yeah, no, I know that. And they were supposed to come out in chains and shit.
Called us up the chain gang.
Up.
Yeah, it was supposed to be real. Like, ooh, this is. Yeah. I think this makes you uncomfortable. Oh, that.
Yeah. Well, no, he looks straight up like a plantation owner. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm watching Django, and this is that scene where they're in the bar and the two dudes are fighting. Like,
yeah.
This is a stable of mandingos. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Got Rey Mysterio in action versus Ultimate Dragon, defeating Ultimate Dragon, not Ultimo Dragon, because WCW.
Yeah. He becomes Ultimo Dragon later.
Yeah. Macho
Rey
Man
Mysterio Jr., not just Rey Mysterio, as WWE call him.
Yes, Rey Mysterio Jr. Let's see. This was 1996, so we're looking at about 20, just under 20 years. So like we'll say 17 years. He'll be his son's backpack down to the ring.
Well, it depends. What year was that Dominic showed up?
I guess 2022. So yeah, for 15, 16 years.
You're doing math wrong, sir.
Probably.
Yeah, that's over 20.
22 plus 4, 26. 26 years.
Yeah. You're missing 10 years in there, man. Like,
listen,
Ray been around a long time, bro.
We got Macho Man losing to Rick.
Honestly, WCW Ray is my favorite Ray. But go ahead.
I don't blame you. Macho Man losing to Ric Flair. Hogan hits Randy again. Listen, I don't give a fuck. All right. I went on UWO and I talked about Hulk Hogan and how I still have even Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Man's got the weakest fucking chair shots I've ever seen. I guarantee Hulk Hogan does not have hands. Like, I guarantee this man cannot fight for real. I think in his prime and me right now at 34, I could knock Hulk Hogan out. Like, no faith in this man whatsoever.
Interesting. Okay.
It's all fake muscle. No, look at his chair shots. This man doesn't, he's trash. So
just because he can't swing a chair don't mean he can't swing a fist though. Like, he's still fucking huge.
Flair gets the win because of the chair shot, and he takes advantage because it's fucking Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Like,
still the dirtiest player in the game.
Then we get the interview with Hogan. Why Hogan? Why? He talks about the new NWO belt that we don't ever see because he said he was gonna get a new belt. He wasn't gonna keep the one, but I know they keep the one. So
yeah, he just spray paints over it.
He says he left Flair alone so that he had no excuses at Clash of the Champions. And then his biggest insult, he calls Flair a stupid little man.
Nobody ever accused Hulk Hogan of being clever.
Our main event is the Outsiders versus Sting and Lex Luger. Lex Luger ends up going in solo, and then Sting comes in after a few minutes, sneak attacks. Nick saves Hall and bails with the NWO. During the match, 4 Horsemen come out to save Sting and Luger from a beatdown. It just a fucking nothing happened. Like, it's the same shit. Nothing's happening. Yeah, Nick Patrick. Okay, is he part of the NWO? He keeps helping them. We clearly see him save Scott Hall in this match. Whatever. August 19th. IRS loses to Jim Duggan.
That is VK Wall Street, sir. You will address him properly while he is on the show he is on. And here, his name is VK Wall Street.
So I know we talked about this when Kyle from April Month was on. I had, because of you, a fond memory of Jim Duggan with the 2x4 and the hoe. All of this taped fist bullshit has ruined Jim Duggan for me. I never,
it's awful.
ever want to see a Jim Duggan match again in my life.
It really don't. It's so funny because it's so awful. It is just like, why do you all keep doing this? Like, you know how many people already just wrestle with the fist tape? Like, it's just like, why is that a thing?
And then here's the thing. So the NWO does this shit, right? Like they throw Rey Mysterio into the production truck and they're jumping people and they're spray painting people and beating up people. Nobody from Jim Duggan. Why do I give a fuck what Jim Duggan thinks about the NWO or Hulk Hogan? 2, where the fuck is Jim Duggan when all this shit is going on? Why is the locker room not emptying to come after these guys? They're all just sitting in the back letting this shit happen, but then they want to get on an interview and be like, I want to talk to Terry as a man. He turned his back on everyone everyone he loves, his family, his friends, all of us. Like, okay, then go do something about it. Wrap your stupid fucking fist up, grab your 2x4, and go stick it up Hulk Hogan's ass, or shut the fuck up.
But here's the thing: you got to remember, pay attention to the commentary. Bobby Heenan's been saying that shit the whole time.
I know. And the problem is, like, I can't help but agree with Bobby Heenan, but also Bobby Heenan's racist as fuck. So, like, I hate agreeing with Bobby Heenan.
He
like,
really is. And here's the thing: you know how I always have the Bobby Heenan said thing when we're doing this, and at first, for a while, the first couple of nitros, first few nitros, like, I'm like, he's really not giving me anything yet. But then Fall Brawl happened. Like, oh, I knew you wouldn't let me down, Bobby. I knew you.
When we got into the Mexican heavyweight championship match.
There was so many. Then I'm like, oh yes, there you go, Bobby. There's Bobby.
So basically, Macho Man comes out and interrupts. I have no idea what the fuck Macho Man said. He said a bunch of shit. None of it made sense except for at the end, it means bad news for Hulk Hogan. And
you gotta understand Macho Man interviews. Like, that's what every Macho Man Randy Savage interview is. Like, he does the Macho Man shit, and you just go with it.
Yeah, but this was a lot of nonsense. Like, normally there's something in there that you can grab and hold on to and be like, okay, that kind of made sense towards what was going on. This was just a lot of nonsense. And then he's like, and that means bad news for you, Hulk Hogan. And by the way, the Giant, you told me you were going to get the job done and you didn't get the job done. So now I'm coming to whoop your ass because he got hit in the head with a fucking belt. Like, I don't blame the Giant for jumping ship to NWO if this is the kind of loyalty you can expect from WCW. He clearly got hit in the head with a belt and pinned. That was not on him. He got screwed over. And Macho Man saw this. And what is Macho Man's response? Not, hey, brother, we'll go get him next time. No, it's like, okay, I'm going to kick your ass now. Like, that is not unity. That is not.
Yeah, WCW is not a unit. That's why they kept losing. That's the whole point.
Benoit defeats.
He was just like, yo, John, you just big for no reason. Like, that was what he basically
said. Benoit defeated Earl Robert Eaton. Sting and Luger have an interview because we have an interview every 10 minutes. They have a surprise for the Horsemen tonight. And Gene apparently doesn't understand what a surprise is because he keeps asking them what they're going to do. And if he told you, then it wouldn't be a fucking surprise, Gene. Disco loses to Scott Norton. And thank God, the only match we had to see Disco in this entire time. But my boy Teddy Bear Long says that Ice Train got screwed and he won't stand for it. And the Scott Norton Ice Train heated feud that has been building for months is continuing through this show and will continue on to Fall Brawl. And the only part of this I give a shit about is Teddy Bear Long because Chubby Teddy is my favorite Teddy.
And you gotta think too. Like you got Ice Train, you got Scott Flash Norton, like two big bad motherfuckers, like honestly. And you would think you'd get something out of that, but for some reason it just ain't working because Scott Norton can't talk.
Scott Norton can't talk, and he looks like some chick's dad, like some white girl's dad that I dated in high school.
Who you would not try.
Probably not.
Like that's the point. He looks like a big bad motherfucker who you don't try.
Regal loses to Dean Malenko. We got a 4 Horsemen interview about Sting and Luger. Why is Flair always yelling?
I do because fucking Ric Flair. But I do have something about this, like because we see roll up wins a lot, but it's always just the fucking schoolboy, and there's no reason why somebody wouldn't be able to kick out of it. But like this roll up here was like actually like a good roll up. We actually like had him tied up, so it was like it was actually a thing where he couldn't get out of it. That's one of those things, like because I normally am pretty critical of Malenko matches because people talk about how great he is, and to me, all his stuff just seems overly choreographed, so it just doesn't look that good to me. But
I've been preaching.
I know you don't like Malenko, but you hate Malenko for a very different reason, sir. And anyway, but this particular time with that roll, I'm like, oh, that's what a roll up is supposed to be. Remember when that would win a match because you actually had them hooked because they couldn't get out. It's like, yeah, just a regular schoolboy and they just don't kick out for no reason makes no sense. but this actually made sense. Also, the Benoit match, and I'll say this about this Benoit match and every fucking Benoit match, and it's just like, set aside, you know, how it all ended, but like, god damn, everything this man does looks like it hurts like hell. Like, he is like, how are you that good in the ring? I wish you could talk. It's just like, but everything he does in the ring, like, yo, that looks like this motherfucker is really fighting and hurting this dude, and it's so good.
And that's kind of what sucks is you go back and you watch this WCW stuff and you're looking at Benoit and you see the talent that this man has in the ring. I mean, we are going to talk about at War Games, Chris Benoit versus Chris Jericho.
Fucking awesome match, dude. We'll talk about when we get there. But yeah, he is so good. They're so good.
Then you look at what all of this led to, and it's hard to be able to separate the two.
Right.
Speaking of separating the two, Public Enemy and their parents, the Nasty Boys, have a match for the 100th time.
Yeah, I got it in my notes here. Nasty Boys versus Public Enemy again.
Mm-hmm. And then another interview where they ask the Nasty Boys after they get the win, are you friends with Hulk Hogan still? And the Nasty Boys again say, we are neutral. All we want is the WCW tag team titles. Hulk Hogan is doing Hulk Hogan shit. Nasty Boys are doing Nasty Boy shit.
Like you all have asked them this already. Like, why are we still
repeatedly? Because they have to. And then we mentioned it. The WWF lawsuit gets brought up by Eric Bischoff, where they're being sued. So that is mentioned. And Bobby the Brain Heenan, I don't know if it's this show or the next show, but after it's mentioned, accidentally calls Ming Haku, and then they have to fucking cover it up. But we'll get to that. DDP loses to Chavo, and then just like Uncle Eddie, catches a diamond cutter and ass whooping for his trouble, because DDP does not like losing.
Yeah, he does not. And diamond cutter still looks great.
It does.
Except for that one off the ropes that he did to Eddie, because it was just like Eddie like landed on his feet first before they actually did it, and it was like but
one out of a million ain't bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we got a Nick Patrick interview. He defends himself by comparing himself to a cop, which does not play well in 2022.
Not today.
For not stopping DDP. He's like, well, if I was out there and I was a cop, I would have to call for backup. I wouldn't handle that myself, and then we'd probably shoot him if he was black. Like, I'm like, Nick, you probably shouldn't say that on air. Like, come on, now. Chill.
Man.
Harlem Heat defeats the American males. Sting and Luger versus the Four Horsemen isn't a match. This is Sting and Luger asking for a parlay with the Four Horsemen, and it's a bunch of War Games is coming up, and I want Arn and Rick side by side with Sting and Lex Luger to take on the NWO. And then Arn's like, yeah, sure, why not? And Rick's like, I'll do it if Benoit and Mongo are okay with it. Okay, fine. Benoit says he'll do whatever they want to do. Mongo says he'll do whatever they want to do, but he's keeping an eye on Sting and Lex Luger, which is very important because something happens at War Games where Mongo is not to be seen again, pissing me off. So
Mongo
basically,
pissed you off? He's a bear. He's an 85 bear, sir.
Listen, if Mongo had stayed on commentary with that cute fucking dog, Mongo would be fine. The fact that he stepped in a wrestling ring, he is embarrassing himself and the Bears.
Also, shout out to Mongo right now. Get well. I know
that is true.
He's not going to get well, but like prayers to him and all that. You know, he has ALS. Yeah. You don't get better from that. But as someone whose uncle died from ALS, I know you don't get better. It's just sorry to bring the podcast down, but I feel like we needed to.
No, it's relevant. We should talk about it. Like you said, thoughts and prayers to Mongo and his family. We got an NWO promo where Scott and Kevin just shit on WCW the entire time, which was fun. And then in our main event, the Giant versus Macho Man Randy Savage. Randy punishes the Giant for losing at Hog Wild with a chair before the bell even rings, and then ends up getting smashed. Nick Patrick calls off the match. Macho makes a comeback, does what I wish I could do to the Dungeon of Doom, and just beats the shit out of them with a chair. And then the Giant chases Randy out of the arena. Travis, there's something about the Dungeon of Doom that happened during this run that makes me really, really upset.
What's that?
I think it's coming up here very soon. But the thing that's up next is the opening of Monday Nitro. August 26th, and the debut of someone that Travis has been anticipatingly waiting for with great anticipation. Billy Kidman takes on the Juice, Juventud Guerrero.
Hoovy, my nigga. He's still masked, Hoovy. So
yeah,
we'll get there eventually. Without the mask, he's not the Juice yet, but we'll get there.
So Hoovy's a cruiserweight, correct?
Correct.
How is a cruiserweight challenging Conan for the Mexican heavyweight championship?
Because Mexican weight doesn't count.
Okay. Hoovy does an interview in Spanish, and Gene's like, "Oh, this young man's not very good at English, so bear with us." And all of the racist ass Southern fans boo him because they can't understand what he's saying.
Yeah, I don't know why they put a mic in his mouth. He started to say stuff in English, and he forgot all English that he knew, so he just diverted to Spanish, and then it just fell apart. And he's just like, why?
And then Gene's like, "Hey, wrap it up," and he's like, "Hold on, I got one more thing to say." And no, it didn't go well.
Yeah, he tried again, and it's like, "No, don't talk, dude. I'm disappointed I didn't get the 450 yet, but we'll get there. The 450 and the Hoovy driver and all those, we'll get there."
Our next match, apparently Scotty Riggs is out, so Buff is teaming with Jim Powers, being managed by Teddy Bear Long. Whatever. They lose to the Dungeon of Doom. More fucking Kevin Sullivan.
Oh man, I wish you could feel just how happy this makes me.
Jim Powers gets the win initially, by the way. Bubba kicks late. Nick Patrick restarts the match, even though Bubba kicked late, and then he gets the win. And then we've got a post-match interview with the Dungeon of Doom that fuck the Dungeon of Doom. We got a Luger and
said valid.
Yeah. Luger and Sting interview again. This time they respond to the challenge from Benoit and Mongo, because apparently, even though last week Mongo and Benoit are like, if Rick wants to go in this with you guys, we'll step aside, we'll let it happen. They're like, you know what? We changed our mind. Maybe you're not really worthy. Former WCW champions, maybe you're not worthy of being tag team partners with Ric Flair and fucking Arn Anderson in War Games, despite the fact that you've been in War Games, or despite the fact that Lex Luger used to be a 4 horseman.
Used to be.
Yeah.
You're good enough, you'd still be a horseman. That's just, I'm telling you what their mentality may be,
My favorite thing here, though, is Lex stakes his career on the fact that he never, ever backs down from a challenge.
Okay.
And if you have been listening to our recaps, I need to know at what point Lex Luger went from the shady friend that you could not trust, who constantly backed down from challenges, to the upstanding guy in this tag team that we can trust and look to.
As soon as the NWO became a thing, he's like, yo, we need him to be a good guy now, because we need somebody to go and get the.
Because I was gonna say, it was like a month ago that we didn't even know what side fucking Lex Luger was on, or if Sting could trust him. And now all of a sudden, I never ever back down from a challenge. You're full of shit, Lex.
You're not on board with the Lex Express?
No, I'm not.
I understand. I'm not either, but still.
And neither was anyone in WWF, which is why you showed up here.
Yeah. I'll be a hero.
Chavo defeats Mike Enos, then has an interview calling out DDP because he's really mad that DDP beat up Eddie and then beat him up, which I understand.
Yeah.
We got Rey Mysterio defeating JL, Jerry Lynn in a mask.
You do know this Jerry Lynn. Okay. Just making sure.
I do. Yeah. It wasn't important though, because cruiserweight matches aren't important. So instead, we go outside where the NWO is vandalizing.
That builds the undercard that keeps people coming back. Gives you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. It wasn't important enough to WCW to actually watch the match, because instead we went outside and watched the NWO spray paint a TV truck.
I know.
Then Mongo and Benoit talk about changing their mind and explain why they put the challenge out to Sting and Luger. Again, while woman seduces Mean Gene.
Also, though, it actually made sense that they did that, because they needed to do that whole backstage thing, but they didn't want to do like they did a while back when the Outsiders came and attacked backstage and just stopped all the action in the ring. So the people who were watching live just had nothing. They were just sitting there. So like there's actually a match going on for them while the stuff's happening backstage. So it's just like they gave them both something, you know.
And that's actually something interesting I wanted to ask you about, because I think it's the next episode or the last episode. There's some shit that goes on, and it goes on out in the parking lot, and the fans in the crowd can't see any of that, right?
Correct.
So they have no idea what the fuck's going on.
Correct.
And they cannot hear commentary either, right?
Correct.
So they're just sitting there like, what the fuck? No one's in the ring. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. That changes in 97. 97, they actually get the Titantron. Well, it's not the Titantron, but it's the Titantron. Because Titantron is like a WWE thing. But big screen, they get that in 97.
Yeah. We had a Macho Man interview, and then we got Jim Duggan versus the Giant. During the match, Ted DiBiase comes through the crowd, holds up the 4, and then the 5. Money. Bought a ticket, lets us kind of know he's with the NWO. He's all in black. He is the 4th member and the financial backing of the NWO, because apparently all those movies Hulk Hogan didn't make him enough money to fucking run his own company.
Not his own wrestling organization.
We got an interview with the Giant. He says he's going to be the one to fight Hogan. And then he mentions being in the cage at War Games, which I thought was very interesting, because we already had a 4-man team for War Games in Rick, Arn, Lex, and Sting. So how are you going to be in the cage, sir? Oh, wait, yeah, we'll find out. Arn and Flair defeat the Rock and Roll Express and then do an interview. Jericho makes his debut versus Alex Wright in a no contest, because, ladies and gentlemen, this is babyface Chris Jericho that bombed so hard he got booed out of the arena. He decides that he does not want to beat Alex Wright, who was unable to compete. So he calls for a no contest, because that is not the way he wanted to win.
Shit.
And also is, for whatever reason, asked how he feels about Hulk Hogan, who he grew up looking up to. And he said he didn't want to win the match the way this Hulk Hogan would have.
And it's so funny because, like, the way that wrestling is presented to us, we know better as people who like are more familiar with the way the business works. We don't like know everything, but we're more familiar with than the average fan. We're led to believe that you get paid more when you win. So like him not taking the win is like him agreeing to take less money, which is fucking stupid.
To be fair, I said, because I did a pool for the Royal Rumble recently, and I did say that if the number that I got ended up being Matt Riddle's number, I would forego my winnings as long as Matt Riddle didn't win. And if he did, I would not take money under Matt Riddle's name. So,
speaking of which, I got to see the Rumble. And it was just it's always my favorite time of the year. I was so happy to watch the Rumble. It's my favorite thing.
I know it is. And you guys know.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people didn't like this most recent Rumble, and it's just like, that's fine. But I would argue that like even the worst Rumble is better than most WWE pay-per-views anyway. So,
which is fair. I mean, it's better than World War III, so there's that.
I mean, you're setting the bar kind of low there.
WCW set that bar low. I didn't.
I mean, World War III is dumb, but it's just like, the thing is, when you learn to embrace how dumb the stuff is and enjoy it for how dumb it is, you have so much more fun.
If I could learn to embrace stupid things and love them for being stupid, I would be a Matt Riddle fan like the rest of everyone else. Like, I can't do it.
Possibly. Yeah,
Matt Riddle would be in the Dungeon of Doom.
Oh, I would love. I'm picturing this now. I'd love this. He'd fit a lot better than Conan does. So yeah.
Look, we're not there yet, but yes, no, that breaks my fucking heart. Steiners defeat the Blue Bloods. Blue Bloods fall apart, and then we got an interview, and then our main event: Stinging Luger versus Mongo and Benoit. The NWO wreck everyone and then take over commentary.
Everybody, because that's
I'm sorry,
they do.
Hall and Nash wreck everybody, and Hulk Hogan just kind of stumbles around like an idiot and throws weak punches and chair shots and tries to make himself look cool.
But you got Hall and Nash, so
yeah. And honestly, I could enjoy the NWO so much more if it was just Hall and Nash.
No, but it wouldn't have felt right because you needed that person to be that figurehead for them. And you know,
I maintain the same thing I maintain about Hulk Hogan in the 80s. You could have done it with Randy Savage and it would have been just as good, and you would have got better matches out of it.
It would not have been just as good with Randy Savage turning on WCW as it did with Hogan. It just wouldn't have. I'm sorry. I know you want that, but it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been. It's okay. You're allowed to be wrong. But yeah, because Macho Man at that point was not near the icon that Hulk Hogan was. And therefore,
he would have been, though. Like, if we had given Macho Man the Hogan push back in the 80s and just deleted Hulk Hogan from existence, all of this would have worked and it all would have been better. And we would have had so many more better matches for it. Because Hogan Andre isn't a good match. It's a fucking moment. Yeah. And that is all Hulk Hogan is a series of 3-second moments. It is him staring at the Rock in the middle of the ring. It is him body slamming Andre the Giant. That is all Hulk Hogan is moments, not matches.
Moments. Let's talk about moments for a second, Matt. You, Matt Ritter.
Yes.
Married man.
Yes.
Beautiful child. Lovely, lovely times.
Adorable.
Yes. Wonderful child is a result of a moment.
It could also be the result of a match.
But all that matters was that moment.
I don't know. I think my performance mattered. I feel like if my performance wasn't up to snuff, that consumption may not have happened.
No. The moment at the very end is what made it happen. So, you know,
there were a lot of those moments and only one stuck. And I've got to say it stuck because of the performance.
There were multiple moments, just like with Hulk Hogan. There were multiple moments.
I don't know. September 2nd.
I just made
DDP,
that up on the fly. I like that.
That was good.
Good job, Travis.
DDP defeats Alex Wright. And then we got more Nick Patrick bullshit. We got a Colonel Parker interview where he talks about how he bought Sherry some clothes. So now he is a plantation owner / Sherry sugar daddy.
Something like that. Yeah.
Harlem Heat defeat Greg Valentine and Buddy Valentino. DiBiase returns.
Also, I forgot to mention the last episode when they were spray painting and shit. I believe that's the first time we see the For Life.
No, it was in one of the Four Horsemen segments because Scott Hall specifically said he's gonna, or one of the NWO segments, because he's like, I'm gonna start holding it like this because it's NWO for life.
It was last week, right?
Yeah, I think it was
the last episode, right? Okay, yeah. I remember it happening in that episode. I didn't remember exactly where, but yeah, for life.
There's not a lot that goes on in those, so I just kind of put them down as NWO package, but like there's not a lot to talk about.
I mean, there's not much that's up, you know, that's relevant to the story that happens with it, but they were just so cool to watch. It was really just it was a theme kind of thing.
DiBiase returns during the Harlem Heat match. There's an interview. Harlem Heat gets jumped by the Nasty Boys.
Forgot to mention something earlier. The Alex Wright versus DDP match.
Yes.
There was an over-the-top rope thing, no DQ.
Yeah, no, it's like watching AEW.
Yeah, I know. That's my point. That's my point. AEW needs to just bow down and worship at the altar that is WCW. Okay.
They literally just had their first DQ ever on Dynamite.
Really?
Yeah. And it was because Mercedes Martinez hit Thunder Rosa with a pipe. It might have been on Rampage. It was one of the two shows I just covered.
It was on TNT.
First
TBS. It was on cable.
Yeah. First ever TV disqualification with all the bullshit that goes on. I mean, I watched the man go through a glass table, no DQ, but now we got a.
Oh, I know. I even saw that.
Yeah.
Like it's been this long and it took that long to have a DQ. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're like 2.5 years in.
Yeah,
first DQ.
That's ridiculous.
According to Chris Jericho, who also made, like, it's convenient that Jericho brings that up because he also made his debut in WCW right now as we're talking about this. But, and he was in the next match, losing to Dean Malenko.
Stinko Malenko. He hasn't called him that yet, but yeah.
Well, that's because we don't have that Jericho yet. We still got babyface Jericho.
Yeah, I know. This is just us getting ready for heel Jericho, which, once again, best Jericho.
Yeah. The Giants defeated Brad Armstrong. Yay. Hogan, NWO package. He calls WCW World Crybaby Wrestlers.
Again, nobody ever accused Hulk Hogan of being clever.
I'm accusing him of being fucking awful. Terrible promos, terrible in-ring work. I don't fucking understand. Anyway.
I mean, there's nothing to understand. It's just star power. He was made a star, so we live with it. Like,
here's the thing. You making me watch this, I am starting to hate Hulk Hogan more than I hated the Dungeon of Doom. And there was a Dungeon of Doom interview, I think, coming up on this episode where fucking Kevin Sullivan, who you know I fucking hate, was like, I tried to tell y'all. And I'm like, fuck, I have to agree with Kevin Sullivan.
He tried to
He was right this whole time.
Bobby Heenan tried to tell y'all, you know. He even said it at Bash at the Beach, like, I've been saying it all along. I'm like, yeah, you are. You are. Again, never said he was great in the ring. Never said he was great on promos. He was just a fucking star.
We got Macho Man taking on Ron Studd. Yeah, whatever. Macho Man defeats Ron Studd. Apparently, this is part of like, he'll take on Ron Studd, and then he'll also, I think, next week take on John Tenta, because
he still has half his head shaved.
Yes, we'll talk about that. He has to wrestle a tall guy to get in preparation for wrestling the Giant, but also a fat guy because the Giant is tall and fat. Yeah. So
it's like boxers who, like, you know, getting ready for a fight, they get somebody who's like similar to their opponents and fighting their style and their size to get them ready. It makes sense.
And there's nobody, so he has to pick two separate guys to.
Well, there's there's only one Giant, so you got to kind of.
Well, technically, there's two Giants. There's the Giant and Andre the Giant.
Well, the Andre the Giant was not around at this point, so
yeah, I know
he was not available.
No, he had his son, and then he died, and then his son died and came back to life, and then fucked Hulk Hogan with a guy wrapped in toilet paper. We watched it. We covered it. It happened.
We didn't see him die. All right, we just saw him fall off the roof of a building.
He's not that fucking tall, Travis. This isn't fucking Godzilla where you just fall off a building and survive. Steiners versus Stinging Luger.
Lingens Luger.
There's a limo that pulled up.
Dude,
that had Ted
DiBiase in it. What the
it.
hell is happening, sir?
It's the morning, kind of.
It's not though.
So.
Like
2 p.m, 11 a.m, same shit. 4 horsemen go out to check the limo that $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase showed up in, but it's empty. Nick Patrick DQs Luger because Luger bumped into him with his elbow.
How dare you? How dare you bump the referee? All right. Show some goddamn respect.
The Dungeon of Doom loses to the 4 horsemen. Sting and Luger chase Nick Patrick to the limo and then watch DiBiase get in. Sting commits attempted murder by throwing a cement block through the window at Ted DiBiase's head and then steals a cop car.
Not attempted murder, aggravated assault at the worst. All right. He's white. Come on now.
Okay, so aggravated assault for a white man, but also steals a cop car in front of a cop and doesn't get shot. Like, just hopped in and took that shit.
It's white privilege all over this shit, dude. Like, you know,
didn't even draw a gun.
None.
Kevin Sullivan gets in the ring and watches Flair hit everyone. Black? No, he was a white cop.
Okay, I remember seeing a black cop at some point. I didn't remember if that was when it was.
I don't know. During this match, though, Ric Flair gets tagged in. He grabs Kevin Sullivan, pulls Kevin Sullivan in the ring, then starts wailing on all of the other members of the Dungeon of Doom. And Kevin Sullivan is just standing there waiting for Ric Flair to turn around and punch him in the face. And it bugged the fucking piss out of me.
Didn't even notice.
Woman assists with the figure 4 to get the win. NWO shows up, attacks everyone. Then here comes the Giant, the champion, the staple of the Dungeon of Doom, to save the WCW in the Dungeon of Doom. And instead, he joins the NWO.
Did you know at this point that was going to happen?
I did.
Okay. I didn't know.
I was watching it and I was like, this is where the Giant turned.
Okay,
like,
so you know at some point the Giant was in the NWO. Okay, I was wondering if you knew that or not. That's why I was just
I know just about everyone that was in the NWO. Again, I am vaguely aware of everything that happened, even though I didn't watch it as it happened.
Right. I just didn't know how aware. You said vaguely, so I'm just like all the nuances.
I wonder if I could make vaguely aware a t-shirt. I say it a lot when talking about anything that isn't WWE.
Probably. Anyway. We can make it a Patreon exclusive. Go ahead.
Yeah. Macho Man comes out for revenge with a chair, but too many NWO members. He gets his ass whooped. Hogan continues to deliver the worst chair shots in wrestling history. Macho Man ends up getting... Yes.
Remember the Survivor Series when The Rock won and became champ?
Yes.
The Gerald Briscoe chair shots in Stone Cold was worse. But anyway, go ahead.
I disagree.
Rewatch it.
I'll rewatch it. Hulk Hogan holds the chair up here and he goes like this.
Rewatch the Gerald Briscoe chair shot. But go ahead.
Macho Man gets a yellow streak spray painted down his spine.
He was like terrified that he would hurt Stone Cold because it was not supposed to be him that did it. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yellow streak down his spine with the spray paint that Hogan pulled out of his balls. So it's ball sweat spray paint.
Yeah, even more disrespectful. That's the point.
NWO takes over commentary again. The Giant says he sold his soul to DiBiase because he went to DiBiase's house and there was a lot of nice stuff in his house.
I mean, it's just like, what DiBiase always says. Everybody's got a price.
Here's the thing, though. When it
was Hulk Hogan's house, not DiBiase's house.
With the state we're in with the Giant, less is more when it comes to commentary. Also, you could have just
he shouldn't
said,
talk. Yeah.
He offered me a lot of money, and instead he's like, I go to the house, and he doesn't have one Corvette. He has 40 Corvettes, and he has really nice leather couches and 14 swimming pool. Like, I don't need to know all this shit. Like, okay, you sold your soul. You got bought. Like, cool. During this, while Giant's trying to cut his promo, Hogan's
stride. Still the NWO thing like a month and a half old at this point. Like,
Hall and Nash are fantastic. They should just let them do everything. Everyone else should just stand in the background.
You're not wrong.
The Giant, yeah, I know. While the Giant is trying to get over why he turned on WCW, Hulk Hogan is disrespectful as shit. He keeps taking shit, stepping in front of the camera. He's spitting on WCW signs. Then everyone gets back up. There's a big brawl that gets separated. And Hogan lets us know that he also apparently got the Giant a role in an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
Yeah.
What Arnold Schwarzenegger movie was the Giant in?
None. That's the point. Keep watching. That's the thing. He made promises to him that weren't fulfilled. Hence the Giant leaving the NWO later. That's a whole thing.
The Giant specifically said something at Fall Brawl.
Sir. Yes,
the Giant specifically said something at Fall Brawl about being in a movie.
That he was supposed to. There. No, he was not there.
That he did it.
No, he didn't say that. You got to pay attention. Nuance. Seeds planted. Long-term storytelling.
Speaking of paying attention, September 9th kicks off. Pat Tanaka losing to Super Callow.
Did you notice something about Pat Tanaka? Particularly his entrance.
I did not.
The music.
What was the music?
It was Goldberg's music.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Well, now I almost have to go back and rewatch that. Though. When I heard Pat Tanaka, I tuned out. And then when I heard Super Callow, I super turned out.
Super Callow was actually like, he's great though. Like if you watch him wrestle, he's actually really fucking good.
I mean, I saw him. I think he's got a match on Fall Brawl. Like he's talented in the ring.
Was it was against Rey Mysterio, right?
Yeah.
Match was fucking fantastic.
But there's nothing about him other than that had me interested. And I didn't know that going into a match with Pat Tanaka. So when I heard Pat Tanaka and Super Callow, I was like, the fuck is this shit? Rick Steiner interview. He had Lex. He had him, Gene. Lex shows up and Rick basically begs the fact, believe me, I can beat you, Luger. I had you. Like it fucking matters.
Rick Steiner is like also is another who should not talk, but
no, his son is far better on the mic than he is.
Oh, good to know.
Yeah,
you sure it's his son?
He still sounds like a Steiner though.
You sure it's his son?
Yes.
Sure he's not Scott's son.
Positive.
Absolutely positive.
I mean, I wasn't there when he was conceived, so I don't know if Rick tagged out and Scott slid in and pumped one into the,
you know, when your brother's the big bad booty daddy,
and now you're the big bad booty breaker. Yeah, maybe. He definitely sounds like a Steiner, but at least it's coherent.
Yeah. It is interesting how they do both kind of sound alike, but like,
oh yeah,
even though Scott's the more coherent of the two, but still not coherent.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And then apparently, even though Steiner math is a thing, Rick is the one that actually teaches math, not Scott. And Scott made Steiner math famous.
Rick teaches math?
Yes.
That might be my favorite thing I've ever heard about the Steiners.
The Nasty Boys defeat the Amazing French Canadians.
Yeah. They left WWF at that point to go WCW because they wanted to get some. It's for the Canadian market. Like, it's just because Canada's weird. So they were just like, we need people from Canada so the Canadians will cheer for them and we can do stuff in Canada and make money. So they brought in them.
Hey, Travis, what do you think happened after a Nasty Boys match?
Probably an interview.
Yeah, but another fucking interview about where they stand. And again, they said, we just want the fucking tag titles.
Here's the thing, though. Like, do you really get tired of seeing Mean Gene? Like,
yes, actually, yes.
I don't. I love seeing really Mean Gene. It's just like every time Mean Gene shows up, like, oh, gee, fucking love you, dude.
Literally, it's either he's interviewing the person who was in the match, or as soon as the match is over, they cut to a backstage interview.
Here's what's the difference here is it's like here they do actual interviews as opposed to like nowadays that person would just cut a promo in the ring.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's not that much more. It's just the presentation. It is more. Don't get me wrong. They do it more, but it's not that much more. It just feels like a lot more because it's an interview instead of just a promo. You feel?
And I was going to say, I guarantee nowadays the Nasty Boys wouldn't be cutting promos after every fucking match they had about the same shit.
Oh, no. Like I said, they're still figuring it out, dude. Like I said, 97 is the year. Like, no bullshit. Like, that's when NWO is in full swing and shit. 96, they're still building it. They're still building the engine of the car. But once the car starts rolling, it's like, oh, this is fan-fucking-tastic.
Speaking of building it, we continue the build for the banger of a match that's going to be Ice Train versus Scott Norton. I know you're all excited to hear us cover.
Hell yeah. Ice
Norton
Train,
defeats
Scott Flash Norton, Fire versus Ice.
Scott Norton defeats Pitbull Pittman
let
because
me promo that shit. Like, damn.
You do kind of look like Teddy Long. A little bit. Like if he grew facial hair and was a little smaller.
I mean, there is a certain someone who likes to call me Papa Bear. So, you know.
So there you go. Norton defeats Pitbull Pittman because Ice Train threw in the towel, because Teddy Bear refused to, because Pittman didn't want him to. Kind of felt like Rocky 3, 4, yeah.
That was 4.
Throw in the damn towel. Ric Flair and Luger have, guess what? Another fucking interview. I think we have interviewed Ric Flair and Lex Luger, or Stinging Lex Luger, or the Four Horsemen every fucking episode at least twice.
Was the one on the net? Yeah. Well, it was all the Horsemen were there, weren't there?
Rick wants to know where Sting is. Luger, yes. All the Horsemen were there, but it was really Rick and Luger's interview.
Yeah.
Luger says, I know he's here, I just haven't seen him.
Because other people said they saw him.
Okay. Then Mongo and Benoit all of a sudden don't trust Luger and Sting again.
There's no again. They never really did.
Yeah. Joe Gomez loses to Hoovy. Hoovy gets a win over Joe Gomez. And
damn right he did.
About Joe Gomez.
Yeah, he was there so Hoovy could get another W before his match.
For the Mexican heavyweight title.
Yeah.
As a cruiserweight.
Yeah.
We got a
weight don't count.
We got a Mexican. We got Nick Patrick interview. Why weren't they suspended for chasing me?
Were you about to say Mexican Patrick interview?
Yes, we got a Mexican Patrick interview.
Oh man. I've missed podcasting with you so much. I love you, dude.
Why weren't they suspended for chasing me? It's not fair. I'm innocent. I didn't do anything wrong. They chased me out of the parking lot.
Yeah. Exactly. He's a referee. Because you don't get to put your hands on a referee. What? You don't?
Okay.
Is that not true?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on the area and where you're at, because there was a whole run coming up here in WWF where a referee got hit every single fucking, literally referees get knocked out every fucking match, and then new referees come in.
So because Vince doesn't follow the rules, nobody should.
I'd like to believe Vince makes the rules.
Vince likes to believe Vince makes the rules, yes. And if you buy into that thing, good for you. But you know, I'm my own fucking man, and he don't make no rules for me.
Fair enough. The NWO is out in the parking lot handing out flyers. Ted DiBiase's talking to someone in a limo in the rain.
That's the thing. And I like how they did this because it's supposed to be a thing where like the NWO doesn't work for WCW. So they don't use WCW's resources, like, you know, their vendors and all that kind of stuff in the arena. They do all their stuff outside, kind of, you know, independent style kind of thing. They do it on their own because we're not a part of you. Like they did a whole thing to make it so like, yo, we're our own shit.
And then they had the $1 Million Band come in to fund everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why, like,
when they have their announcements, they follow announcements have been paid for by the New World Order. They bought advertising space on WCW shit. They don't just get advertised; they bought advertising space.
Yeah. Rick Steiner versus Lex Luger. Nick Patrick says Luger needs to go to the parking lot mid-match. Why the fuck Lex Luger decided to listen to Nick Patrick at this point after everything that's happened and all of this stuff baffles me, but yeah, okay. We hear Sting's voice coming out of the limo talking to DiBiase, and then Luger comes out. Sting jumps out of the limo and beats the shit out of Lex Luger out in the rain. NWO jumps in. Luger gets his ass whooped. NWO bails, and then the Four Horsemen and some other folks run out into the parking lot looking for where the NWO went. There is an empty limo in the parking lot with just flyers and spray paint in it. And they all decide to spray paint all over the limousine.
In the rain. So it didn't stick.
In the rain.
But, you know.
At all.
But that's one of the things you do when you deal with stuff that's live, you know.
And I'll be honest. I mean, obviously it was probably Sting also sitting in the limo because it sounded like Sting.
No, it was recording, actually.
In the dark, in the rain.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like Sting.
It did.
Now,
and imagine, this is back in 96, okay?
Yeah.
Not on an HGTV. We can see this as clearly as we can now. Imagine you are 9 years old, Matthew, and you're watching this. You think that's Sting. Like, there's no way you don't think that's Sting. So at that point, it's like, shit, Sting's joined the NWO now? Holy shit.
And
props to Travis probably didn't say holy shit. It was probably something just like a whoa kind of thing. But yeah.
And also props to whoever fake Sting is because he threw punches and kicks that looked like
Jeff
Sting's.
Farmer is his name.
Yes. Good job, Jeff. We go back into the ring. Kidman loses to Rey Mysterio. Faces of Fear versus Public Enemy.
Wait. I just, you know, you've been shitting on this for quite a while, and I don't think you gave this awesome story beat its just due. So I need you to give them their proper props on this particular story beat. Thank you.
Which story beat?
The fake Sting.
I just did. I said
props. It wasn't enough.
He looked like him.
It wasn't enough.
Okay, so I do have a slight gripe. We may not notice it and we may not see it, but you are telling me that Lex Luger, who is Sting's best friend, who has been teaming with Sting, who has won championships with Sting, who has wrestled against Sting, looked this man in the face and didn't know it wasn't his best fucking friend?
Exactly, Matt. That's what makes the next part of the story so fucking great. Is the fact that this is supposed to be Sting's best friend. You're supposed to be the one that knows me better than anybody else. You're supposed to be the one that truly believes in me if nobody else does, and you didn't. Hence what happened at Fall Brawl and what happens going forward with Sting and brings the story forward.
But why is it a surprise when we know that Lex Luger has always been a shady piece of shit that we cannot trust?
It's a surprise to no one really except Sting. Sting is the one that matters because Sting is the one that always still believed in his friend Lex.
So what you're telling me is the entire build of the story is Sting realizes that he has been a fucking idiot this whole time and then goes emo.
No, it's realizing that people who he thought had his back really don't have his back, so fuck all y'all.
But everyone told him that Luger didn't have his back. Luger showed him multiple times he didn't have his
Luger
back.
was just the straw that broke the camel's back. He's pissed at all of WCW, sir. Did they believe that something of that like that of him?
Fair enough. Like I said, Kidman loses to Ray. We got the Faces of Fear versus Public Enemy during the match. Again, this is one of those matches that, hey, crowd, here's something for you to watch because we got more important things for people on TV.
Wait, this was
Four Horse.
What was the match?
Faces of Fear versus Public Enemy.
Oh yeah, who cares? Go ahead.
Also, I didn't know that was a no DQ match because they were going through tables and all sorts of shit, and I was very confused. I didn't remember them say it was no DQ.
Well, here's the thing.
All Public Enemies matches no DQ.
I was just about to say it was a Public Enemy match, first of all, but also, here's the thing about tables though. As long as the table is outside the ring,
they were in the ring.
They did something in the ring too.
This is where Haku or Meng got
Ming
called Haku.
is his name, sir. Ming.
And Haku got put through a table in the ring.
Oh, I don't remember that part. I'm about to say the thing with the Barbarian on the outside, though, like, yo, as long as the table is outside the ring, like, yo, like if you just happen to be a table there, you know, my bad, you know.
Bobby called him Haku. So if Bobby can call him Haku, I can call him Haku, damn it.
There's a lot of things Bobby says that you shouldn't say, sir. So if you're using Bobby the Brain Heenan as your barometer as to what you can and can't say, I need you to reevaluate.
At least I'm not using Joe Rogan.
Touché.
Matches get thrown out.
Touche.
I think the match got thrown out. I don't
even
really know what
Bobby
happened.
Heenan, like 1996 Bobby Heenan, by the way. You know, go ahead.
Yeah. Like I said, there was a Four Horsemen and Luger interview mid-match. The match I think got thrown out. I don't really know what happened because
Did you skip
they
over
cut in and
Kidman
out.
and Mysterio?
I literally said Kidman loses to Mysterio twice. The
Oh.
first time I said it, you said I didn't give enough proper due.
Oh, I
to
was
the
too
Sting
concerned
story.
with the NWO thing. You're right.
And then I came back and I said it again.
Yeah, I
and
still
then
wasn't listening. You're right. You're right.
moved
Okay,
on to the Faces
go
of
ahead.
Fear.
Go ahead. My bad. I take that back. Then that was on me. That's on me. But one could argue.
And here's where we get
gave the story's proper due. I wouldn't have had to say that, so I would have heard you. But anyway, go ahead.
Here's where we get the Dungeon of Doom interview where we see the Conan that I am most familiar with.
Orale.
I'm gonna repeat something that Bobby the Brain Heenan said that I really, or I know it wasn't. It was Mike Tenay said. I think about him that actually kind of surprised me when we get to War Games. But yeah, no, this is the Conan I'm used to seeing. The baggy jeans,
This is
the
the
flannel,
birth
the
of
white
K-Dog.
beater.
Yeah, this is the birth
yeah,
of
the
K-Dog.
birth of K-Dog. But he's part of the fucking Dungeon of Doom, Travis.
Yeah, so dumb. That's very dumb. It makes no sense. There's no reason why that should have happened. There's no reason for that. I forgot all about this. If I'm being completely honest with you, like I forgot. Like when I said at this point, you should, like the Dungeon of Doom fades into obscurity. At this point, I really thought that's what happened. Like
No,
remember,
they grabbed fucking Conan and dragged him into this bullshit.
I know.
And
the
you know
thing
what else
is,
they're not going into obscurity for? Fucking Big Boss Man, Big Bubba, whatever the fuck you want to call him, Ray Trailer and the Guardian, the 40 other million fucking names he's had, is obsessed with Glacier.
You're gonna get to see Glacier next time.
I know we are. I saw the little. That's literally like the thumbnail for it is Glacier versus Big Bubba for the next episode.
Okay, yeah, you
After
after
Fall Brawl.
Yeah, you do get to see Glacier now. He was supposed to come back during the summer, I believe, and then the NWO thing took off, so they like delayed it. But yeah.
Think about this. We have the NWO going on, wrecking everyone, wrecking his friends, wrecking all of WCW, and all this man gives a fuck about is Discount Sub-Zero and where the fuck he's been. And
honestly,
now,
the thing about Glacier, like people have said it before, Joe. This is not an original thought of mine. Just put that out there. I'm a fucking genius, but this is not one of those genius moments. But like, Glacier was 2 years too late.
Yeah.
Like if Glacier had come out like 93, 94, he'd have been the coolest shit ever in wrestling. But he came out in 96 and nobody gave a fuck about that anymore. Mortal Kombat wasn't as cool anymore. It was like, okay.
Now, I don't know, like, I can't. There's not
Glacier
really a heel.
from Killer Instinct. There was that Glacier too, but he was.
There's not really a heel faction in WWE right now that I guess the Bloodline maybe, but they're not on Raw. But anyway, you know what I'd love to see, just to throw back to this, is like everything going on in WWE and just like Jey Uso being like, and where the fuck is Veer at?
Who?
You haven't been watching WWE.
Kinda.
So Jinder Mahal had Veer and Shanky.
Oh, them. Okay, I do know who that is. I do know who that is. Yes.
After the
I
draft,
just forgot his name.
After the draft, Veer was drafted to Raw by himself. And for months now, they have been running promos. Veer is coming to Raw like he's fucking Glacier, and he hasn't shown up.
Have you mentioned that on Smack It and Raw? Have you
all
made
the time?
Yes. Have you
Yes,
made the comparison to
to
Glacier?
Not to the Glacier. No.
Oh, you should have made the Glacier comparison. Then you could have promoted this show on top of it. Cross promotion, Matt.
I could do that next week. Now that the show's back.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. The show was kind of gone. There was really no point in being like, hey, yeah, whatever. Big Bubba will not let Glacier go. That's all he gives a fuck about. And then in our main event,
and the thing is, it's weird because you wonder why. Like this just
like
nothing,
what did he do to you?
What is it about Glacier that you just can't get over?
Main event is John Tenta with his half-shaved head still versus the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Dumb. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you not just bald? Like, all you old white people in wrestling at this point who keep the little bald shave thing at the top and let the hair grow on the sides. Why have you not shaved it all off? All of it.
Winter mostly.
This was in the fall.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying when I grow mine in, kind of like it's because it's cold out, and it's at least some protection.
Wear a fucking hat.
We got the disclaimer from Eric Bischoff during this match about Meng because they accidentally called him Haku. Eric's like, to clarify, his name is Meng because lawsuits. Mm-hmm. Teddy Bear makes Macho Man go to the parking lot during the match because the NWO was there just before he got the win. One limo. Oh, this is where one limo pulls away. The other one's empty. And then they spray paint in the rain. So that's when that happened.
Right. And I mentioned earlier, this night's the last night we see Gene until November. So,
unfortunately, Eric Bischoff is trying to, at the end of the show, give us a heartfelt message from WCW, an apology. And Arn Anderson just keeps interrupting. And
was it Arn or was it Rick?
It was Arn at first.
Okay. I remember them both doing it. Yeah.
Eric's like, hey, like, hold on a second. And Arn just kept going. And you could see Eric was like pissed.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that also plays into what we find out about the NWO later and who the real mastermind behind the NWO is. And then right as he's trying to get it off again, here comes Ric Flair screaming and doing Ric Flair shit.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You ready to talk about Fall Brawl?
Let's talk about Fall Brawl.
DDP gets
you
the win.
Enjoyed Fall Brawl. I want to put that out there again. Just make sure Matt enjoys some WCW. Go ahead.
I enjoyed the pay-per-view. There were a lot of good matches on the pay-per-view. DDP defeats Chavo Guerrero Jr.
Good match.
Good match. DDP, Chavo. Can't go wrong there.
This is early Chavo too. This is like pre-tornado DDT Chavo, you know?
And way pre-Kerwin White Chavo. Thank God.
Ooh, Chavo.
It is 1996, so we do cut backstage to Harlem Heat and Colonel Parker and Sherry learning how to use the internet from CompuServe.
When I saw CompuServe, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
CompuServe. Really? And fortunately, at this point, Booker T does not say nigga. So good.
Yeah. Norton loses to Ice Train in an I Quit match with the Hurt Lock, ladies and gentlemen. You want to tie into modern day WWE? Motherfucking Ice Train. It is big meaty men slapping meat all day in this match.
But I got a couple Bobby Heenanisms that happened during this point. These are the ones that like, there you go, Bobby. I knew you wouldn't let me down. So it started off, this is one that's more tame. It wasn't as like, racist or homophobic or anything like that. But it was just a very Bobby Heenan thing to say when he was going on about, the people in the back in WCW, he wanted them to come together and fight and all that. He was talking to them in the back and they didn't want to listen. And they were like, since when do you care about them? Like, no. I work at WCW. I don't want it to go out of business. So I'm trying to convince all of them to fight for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's very Bobby Heenan. He's just like, I love that. But here's the one. Who was it for? I forgot who he was talking about. Oh, he was talking about Chavo and like the whole Guerrero family. Like I heard his father got laid off 14 times last week from the same job. And I was like, wait a minute.
Damn it, Bobby. God damn it, Bobby.
And then let me see. Also said about Chavo, the pit bull you were talking about is now a Chihuahua just laying there. No, it's now Mexican Chihuahua just laying there.
Yes, I definitely heard the Mexican Chihuahua line, and I was like,
there's that Bobby Heenan. Oh, I was waiting for it. I knew he wouldn't let me down. He never does.
So anyway, big meaty men slapping meat.
Oh yeah, there was some big meaty men slapping meat there. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to shit all over that or overcharge that, but it was just.
And
I need to make sure we said it, but yeah,
they called it a full Nelson, but we all know it's the motherfucking hurt.
That's the fucking hurt lock. Yeah.
Put out Scott Norton with the hurt lock. Conan defeated Hoovy to retain his Mexican heavyweight championship match. Also came out representing, as Mike today said, the Cholos as part of the DOD, the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah. There was one spot in this match that was just like that was fucking amazing. Like I fucking love that power bomb spot. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Like just like I'm like literally sitting in my living room and I just like. Damn,
and that's one thing I can give to WCW is their pay-per-views. There are some really damn good matches on here. This is one of those pay-per-views that's worth going to watch because there are some really damn good matches. I mean,
in the undercard, like you point that out. The main events really didn't deliver as far as match quality goes, but the undercard was always fantastic.
Well, the main events can't deliver as far as match quality goes because fucking Hulk Hogan's in it, and with Hulk Hogan, you get no match quality. Anyway, DDP v Chavo. Norton v Ice Train. If you want to see two big bulls collide, you're getting it here in an I Quit match. Conan versus
man slapping me.
And then our next match, where two Canadians just beat the living piss out of each other. Chris Jericho losing to Chris Benoit.
Did you also notice Benoit did the Lion Tamer?
Benoit did the Lion Tamer. He did the flying headbutt and one with an off the top rope back suplex.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Another thing about wrestling at this time. Like those big moves like that weren't finishers
could win matches,
which is why near falls after big moves like that mattered because you actually thought they might win. Crazy, right?
Then they stopped doing that.
Yeah.
And now you see a superplex and you're like, oh, okay, why'd you pin him?
Exactly. It is just like, come on, people. Like these big moves sometimes need to win matches so that when you pin somebody after these big moves, the crowd and the people watching actually believe there's a chance that the match can be over.
And to a point that you brought up earlier, and speaking of big moves, our next match, Rey Mysterio defeats Super Callow for the Cruiserweight title in a damn good match.
So fucking great. Like
spot heavy as fuck.
It is spot heavy, but like the spots were good and they made sense. Like it was just the way that they worked. It was just like, why can't we just have this all the time? And then I realized you can't just do this all the time because it would get boring. So AEW. But anyway, go ahead, keep going.
Harlem Heat defeats the Nasty Boys.
Of course they did, because the Nasty Boys, who gives a shit?
Macho Man loses to the Giant, and then the NWO stomps Randy while Nick Patrick pretends not to notice. So during the match, Randy sees the NWO on the rampway. He runs out. They beat the living dog piss out of him. Nick Patrick, meanwhile, has his back turned to the whole situation, scolding the Giant, who then Randy gets rolled in, and the Giant pins him 1, 2, 3.
That was one I'm just like, you could have executed this better. Like,
yeah,
the idea of it, cool. Like clearly Nick Patrick is doing some, shady referee Nick Patrick shit. But the fact that Macho Man just willingly walked into this, that was clearly a trap. Like, not even like kind of clearly a trap, but definitely clearly a trap when Hogan continues to looking over his shoulder and saying, come on, kind of thing. It would have been, imagine the same thing happens, but Hogan's running to the back, facing the back and looking back toward Macho Man as he's doing it. Completely different feel, and it makes sense at that point that Macho Man would fall for that trap.
Yeah, or you just have Nash, Hall, and Hogan ringside, jump the barricade, get ringside, pull Macho Man out, stomp the shit out of him, while Nick Patrick ignores it, talking to the Giant and rolling back in.
Yeah, that works too. I'm talking if you want to do the luring him into a trap kind of thing.
I don't, because it's stupid Hogan bullshit.
Okay, sure. But I was just talking about how to make the luring into the trap thing work. But yeah, it would have made even more sense. It would have been easier just to do the ringside beatdown thing. You're right. Yes.
We got a 4 Horsemen interview with Lex where they actually bring up that Lex used to be a horseman. They're going to go without Sting because they don't trust Sting. And then Sting shows up and he's like, listen, guys.
I forgot we skipped over the whole thing before when Sting came in and said it wasn't me.
No, that's right now.
Is that now?
I'm literally talking about that right now. Yeah.
I thought, okay, you're right. Yeah.
Sting shows up and swears it wasn't him.
Yeah. We saw him though.
Yeah, no.
Lex
like,
looked his eyes.
I looked you right in the eyes, my best friend, and I know it was you. So Sting says, all right, I'll see you guys later tonight. Fuck y'all.
Yeah.
Because Lex says he doesn't trust Sting now. Go figure. Main event, War Games match. We got Hall and Arn Anderson in first. Meanwhile, there's apparently a scuffle in the back during the coin toss. Which, guess who wins the coin toss?
The heels. That's who's supposed to win the coin toss. You can't have this match and the baby faces win the coin toss. It doesn't make sense.
And guess who's refereeing this match?
Nick Patrick.
After what happened with Macho Man, he is refereeing yet another match involving the NWO because apparently WCW management really doesn't give a fuck.
Referee unions, man.
Doesn't mean you can't. He just reffed the match. You could have put anyone else in this match. It did not need to be Nick Patrick.
He was assigned ahead of time.
Where's little Nate? Not here yet.
What's his name? I know who you're talking about. What the fuck is his name? I gotta look this up. I know you're talking about the blonde one with the hair. The fuck is his name? Watch. I'm gonna Google WCW ref with the hair and watch.
You could just Google little Nate.
No, I want to Google WCW ref with the hair. Boom, Charles Robinson.
Yes,
I knew it. It's like WCW ref with the hair. They'll say it. It's Charles Robinson.
I wanted to call him Paul Robinson for some reason. I knew that wasn't right.
Yep. Hold on. Let me see if you can. Can you read this on my phone? Oh damn. Hold on. There you go. Can you read
WCW ref with the hair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Luger comes in 10 seconds early, NWO won the coin toss, so Nash is in next. Then it's Luger who comes in 10 seconds early, but it doesn't matter. It's war.
Does he get into the ring 10 seconds early?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. He gets through the ropes and there's 10 seconds left. And they're like, it doesn't matter. It's war. Rules don't matter in war. Okay, cool.
I remember there was one I saw the countdown happen as they're going down to the ring. So I'm like, is that okay? Gotcha.
Mind you, it's also War Games, and this entire night we've had 2 rings, and especially in the Hoovy versus Conan match and the Ray versus Super Callow match.
Oh yeah, when they used that, when he jumped from one ring and then double hopped on the ropes and did it.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where it's just like, a lot of times I fault people for just like standing there waiting for them to do some shit. But if you're in a match with somebody, you're fighting somebody, and they go to a completely different ring, you're kind of confused, like, what the fuck is he doing? Why is he? Oh, wait, he just jumped. Wait, and yeah, that would confuse me. I probably wouldn't have fallen for it that bad, but it would have caused me to pause.
Yeah. Basically this entire match, because Hogan's in next for the NWO, Ric Flair's in last for WCW, or so we think. It's just an NWO member comes in, outnumbers the WCW guys,
That's the story.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which Sting is the final man for the NWO.
Mhm.
Comes in, whoops on these guys. And at this point, you look at Sting and you're like, okay, something's not right here. That doesn't look like Sting. Like, it looks like Sting, but it doesn't. It's not the same body.
Again, imagine watching on an old tube TV in 96. You probably wouldn't have been able to tell. But go ahead.
Then the final countdown comes in, and here comes the real Sting, and he wrecks fucking everybody.
Yeah.
He wrecks fake Sting, he wrecks Hogan, he wrecks Nash, he wrecks Hall. Meanwhile, all of the WCW guys are just standing there watching Sting wreck everyone. And then Sting says, fuck y'all, I'm out.
Yeah.
And leaves.
Yeah.
And the NWO wins.
Yeah, because they whooped their ass because it's 3 on 4. Yeah. And this is how that Crow Sting is born. Is this shit right here? And I'm just like, oh, I love this. This is so good.
No, this was good shit. I will give them that. Like I said, this was good shit. It really is, and it's probably the most interesting thing I've watched since you made me start watching this shit.
Yeah.
And I can't be mad at having 2 Stings when 2 years prior to this, my other favorite wrestler from the other company had a doppelganger.
Mm-hmm.
Also involved with the $1 Million Man. It's kind of the $1 Million Man's thing where he gets a guy and then he gets a guy that looks like the guy.
You're right. I didn't even think about DiBiase's thing. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So Luger's crawling up the rampway, Sting, I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you both have brown eyes. Like, how was I supposed to know? Oh, and the NW whoops his ass, and then here come
because fuck Luger.
Arn and Rick, and they're fighting. Randy comes out to try and makes the save, but he ends up getting dropped by the Giant. And then Randy's getting his ass whooped in the ring. And here comes Miss Elizabeth to save Macho Man Randy Savage. Not Ric Flair, even though she's part of the 4 Horsemen. She covers the Macho Man.
She still loves him, Matt.
Yeah, that's what they said on commentary. I don't know where they got that idea. And then Hogan, being the disrespectful piece of trash that he is, takes the closest thing we have to actual wrestling royalty and the queen that is Miss Elizabeth, spray paints her dress and fucking spits on her like she's trash.
He's a heel.
He's a shitty heel. But this is the best heel work he's done.
Yeah.
To this point.
Here's the thing. He's still getting used to it. He gets better. He starts to learn that less is more. Or starts to lean into like what people hate about Hulk Hogan anyway. And it's like, oh, that works. That's good. He starts to do the things like, yeah, you're Hulk Hogan. You made wrestling. You're the greatest in wrestling. He really leans into the fact that people resent how he seems to feel about himself, and he uses that shit. And I'm like, that's good. That's good.
I'll swallow Fall Brawl itself. I'm spitting basically every show leading up to it.
Even the Nitro leading up to when you got the setup for this shit with Sting.
I mean, that was one good thing in a show that was pretty fucking bad.
Let me just look and make sure, like, let me see if there's anything else that you should have liked about that night, because, you know, you just be so ready to just shit on WCW all the time. Let me just make sure that you're not, okay, so.
Kidman and Ray, maybe?
No, hold on. Let me just look at my notes. Okay, that's fair. Never mind.
Yeah. So spitting the entire 4 to 5 weeks of what I watched leading up to this, minus the little bit of storytelling that the NWO did.
And it was great about this, was so interested about this, is normally pay-per-views with WCW didn't really deliver. It was really the Nitros that were so great. So it's just like,
they're going to switch it around.
Will work for you this time. But yeah.
But the pay-per-view was actually really good. So I'll swallow Fall Brawl 1996. You guys should definitely, if you have not checked it out before you listen to this, go check it out. Go watch it. Really good matches.
Yeah, particularly the Jericho Benoit match. Also the Mysterio Super Callow match. Like
Conan Hoovy
was great too. Yeah, you're right. That was the one with the powerbomb. You're right. Yeah. Yeah, those three matches particularly, like the whole pay-per-view was good, but like those matches particularly were just like great. If you love great wrestling, those matches are great. As far as great story, the NWO stuff, the War Game stuff, fantastic. So across the board, Fall Brawl, fucking awesome.
And try to ignore the fact that Conan's part of the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah, try. Because that makes no sense to me either as someone who loves WCW. I will also point out the stupid shit that WCW does. So it's, you know.
All right, Travis, what's next?
Next we got the Nitro's
Halloween
the Halloween Havoc. Yeah, where we get Macho Man versus Hogan.
You know, Halloween Havoc is my favorite WCW pay-per-view. This is the one time where WCW gets really cheesy and campy, and I appreciate it because it's motherfucking Halloween and it's Halloween Havoc. So
no RoboCop on this one though.
No RoboCop, no Yeti. We're not going to get the what the fuck was that steel cage match where they electrocuted Abdullah the Butcher? Yeah,
was that Halloween Havoc?
I believe that was Halloween Havoc as well. Yeah,
but yeah,
zombies and coffins and shit.
Yeah, and that'll be, I want to say that's the last time you see Randy Savage until the next year.
Okay.
Same reason why you didn't see Gene for a while, contract stuff. But
I'm going to pray to God that Fall Brawl 1996 is a turning point to all of the good stuff you keep telling me I'm eventually going to see.
It's a build, sir. It doesn't all happen at once. All right.
Travis, we're what? A year and a half, 2 years into this watch along? A year and a half? Yeah.
But you know WCW got good when the NWO stuff started happening. That was literally just 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
Yeah. You gotta sit through the shitty stuff to appreciate what's great.
You keep telling me that, and it's been a year and a half of shitty stuff.
Yeah, and we're past the shit. You just said that it was a good pay-per-view.
This is why we had to take a 6-month break because I couldn't do it anymore.
Sure, we'll say that.
Yeah.
Sure, whatever. It wasn't 6 months; it was 3. But yeah,
it felt like 6. Tell them about Creation World. Tell them about what you've done this week, the stuff coming out, what they can look forward to.
All right, so the Patreon stuff is once again back up and running. We'll have all that posted. Thank you for all of you who have been supporting there. So Return to Wrestling, as you see, we're recording this now, so it'll be on Patreon. Also the multiverse stuff with Mara the Shark Watkins, our companion show, the Superflash Year of Tomorrow. We're watching Injustice, great fucking DC movie, animated stuff. That's the Patreon exclusive for this month. Also some extra D&D stuff that I'll be recording myself that'll be on there later on this month, as well as the return of Dungeons After Dark, which will happen as soon as I can get everybody together, because that's the real obstacle there, is getting all of us from Creation World together to do this, at least the ones that I like. And I love that you have that. I also need to do a thing where I can show you something on D&D Beyond that you can use that. It's pretty fucking cool. But yeah. What else? I mean, the Patreon's kind of been tweaked for this year. You can check it out if you go there, patreon.com/Creation World. But yeah, that's the main stuff that I wanted to make sure you all knew about. Is just the revamping of Patreon. We're kind of moving some things around, changing some stuff as far as the way we're doing things. Merchandise stuff is a lot closer. Like I'm in talks with, I think, with the right people now, and we'll have that together sooner rather than later.
And if it doesn't, we can always go to What Maneuver, which made the awesome shirt that you are wearing right now that I'm assuming is super fucking comfortable.
It is. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I figured this would be, pretty appropriate for what we're doing now. It has the, the Black Lives Matter in the NWO logo, and we're doing WCW where the NWO thing is prevalent, So I figured it'd be a good time to just show this off with the Black Lives Matter,
And as you guys all know, you can follow me at Matt Ridders at MATTRIDDER on Twitter only. Also, Twitter and Instagram, Smacking a Raw Pod. I just actually revamped last night the Smacking a Raw Pod Twitter, so it reflects more Return to Wrestling now that Return to Wrestling is back. So we got the Return to Wrestling logo up there. We mentioned that it's Smacking a Raw Pod and Return to Wrestling, and I'm going to focus a little more on Return to Wrestling there on that Smacking a Raw Pod specific stuff. See if we can get the numbers up and
Makes sense.
do some stuff over there. Link trees are at Matt Ritter. Go check out thecreationworld.com. Go check out Creation World on Facebook, facebook.com/Creation World. Go check out Twitter and Instagram, The Creation World, at THECREATIA World. It gets you everything that you want. Patreon, merch, all of our shows, everywhere you can find stuff, it's all there in all of those places. So if you're having a hard time finding shit, just go Creation World.
Yeah, we're not hard to find. We're really not. Like I said, creationworld.com is the encompassing of everything. Go there, you know, and soon the merch will be there too on creationworld.com. So I cannot wait for that. Like, I'm getting that all worked out now. It should be, like I said, sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well, Travis, this has been a not so awful return to wrestling.
It's a build.
Yeah.
You loved it and you know it because you got to hang out with me again.
That was a plus. That was a big plus. So, all right, for Lord Cussalott, Travis Pointer, I am the Warden, Matt Ritter. This has been your Return to Wrestling from the Smackin' a Raw podcast, the #1 wrestling podcast on Pornhub.
Peace.